Hey my friends, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering South Park creating panic as they mock ridiculous gender and race swaps in Hollywood. First, of course, there's woke people that don't like to see their ideas and their ideological religion mocked. They want everyone to accept as normal the removal of a certain race and the imposition of a new group of races as well as genders in all entertainment and all media. But Hollywood has literally billions of dollars invested at every level to push their agenda. And the more South Park comes out with their cartoons, which really are excellent satirical social commentary, the more problems it creates with their broken business model. This could be the thing that finally breaks them. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. We're going to cover a couple of different angles of this because there's a lot of things going on. Coming from Blaze Media, South Park brilliantly mocks woke Hollywood by swapping race and gender of their beloved cartoon characters. So the main characters are now turned from 4 white kids to 4 adult women of color. Does that make any sense? Of course it makes no sense. The decision to recast their characters to different races and different genders could be motivated by Hollywood's attempt to be more diverse. In recent years, Hollywood and prominent streaming services have recast roles that were originally or historically white characters. And this, we all are pretty aware of this, but this is a pretty good summary of some of the more ridiculous ones. Disney's live-action adaptation of the 1989 animated film The Little Mermaid cast a black Ariel. Netflix's 4-part documentary Queen Cleopatra cast a black actress to play the royal of Macedonian Greek heritage. Samuel L. Jackson played the role of Colonel Nick Fury, who was originally a middle-aged white guy in Marvel Comics. Yes, they changed it in the comics, as they've done a lot of changes in the comics, but originally, we all know who Nick Fury is supposed to be. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Idris Elba portrayed Heimdall, who is based on a Norse deity. A black actress played the Moneypenny character in the James Bond film Skyfall. Black actor Jeffrey Wright was cast as Lieutenant James Gordon in The Batman. And we've heard that in the upcoming Daredevil series, if it ever does come out on Disney's streaming service, Disney+, Ben Urich will now be a woman somehow. Ben Urich was never a woman before. In 2020, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced that starting in 2024, in order for a film to be nominated for Best Picture category, so you can't even get a nomination for Best Picture unless the movie meets a number of inclusion requirements in order to be considered. This is based on representation of people's skin colors or genders, not on the quality of their work. As Blaze News previously reported, the film will be required to feature significant supporting actors from an underrepresented race or ethnic group. South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker, who are not afraid to lampoon anyone or anything, set out to mock the inclusivity trend. The upcoming South Park special will mock Hollywood's attempt to score woke points by recasting roles with female and minority actors. The special, titled South Park Joining the Panderverse, which is actually being called an event, not a special, for legal reasons, and we'll get into that, will recast the beloved cartoon's characters as females and minorities. The all-white and all-male 4th graders are now all adult women of color. Who's upset about this? AV Club. Coming from Outkick.com, AV Club is not pumped about the new South Park special. The AV Club published a piece called, quote, "There's a new South Park event teaser, and God, we're already so tired. Yeah, it's wordy, but it gets the point across." The brief piece announced the special's upcoming premiere. However, the writer also opined how people criticizing or even just questioning this sort of thing gives them headaches. Quote, "The Spider-Man referencing title suggests that the show will be offering its take on increasing calls for diversity in mainstream media, or at least allegations that said calls are cynically exploited by studios to make money. And hey, how do you get these pounding headaches in front of your skull while watching this stuff?" The piece's author, William Hughes, asked in a run-on sentence for The Ages, quote, "We get these pounding headaches in the front of our skull." Well, it seems some folks are certainly concerned that South Park's brand of satire, which rarely if ever misses the mark, might shine a lot on the ridiculousness of some of these over-the-top diversity casting decisions. And keep in mind, the title of the South Park event special is called South Park Joining the Panderverse. Obviously a play on the word pandering because Hollywood is pandering to this audience. Pandering casting choices are almost always lazy cash grabs. It's also hard to argue that at least a few of these weren't done with the sole aim of getting money out of the brand of Rube who falls for stuff like this. And why don't the studios actually go and create something new? Why do they have to go back to existing brands and damage those existing brands and then try to jam their diversity, equity, and inclusion into those brands? It's because they want to destroy the original brands. They don't want there to be a white Little Mermaid. They don't want there to be white male superheroes that represent Marvel Comics. They want to replace all of that. At the very least, they want to remove all of that cultural inspiration because stories are important. Stories teach us things. Stories have existed in culture before we've had writing. That's how information is conveyed from one generation to another. So Disney is messing around with some very powerful forces. And of course, the rest of Hollywood doing this as well. Disney is the worst of the worst because they have no respect for the intellectual properties they control and the history behind them. Disney's also talking now about rebooting Marvel Studios. They can reboot Marvel Studios, but what are they going to use for the basis of any of these characters? They're going to supposedly soft reboot and they're going to go back to some characters that they had decided to get rid of. They'll bring a couple of them back. It's not going to be good. The issue is if you're not true to the original material that was actually creative and was actually well done and was the vision of the original creators, who I was just watching an interview that Jack Kirby did, of course, many years ago, talking about the characters that he created existed in his head before he put them on paper. He knew what those characters were like as people. He knew what their stories were. And when he drew and wrote or co-plotted them, that was his reference point. The characters really existed. Marvel's not doing any of that with any of their characters. It's all representation and nonsense. There is a massive lawsuit going on between Warner Brothers and Paramount. And Paramount continues to do these specials, and now they're calling this an event. Warner Brothers is furious with them because they made a $500 million deal for all the rights to all the existing and new streaming content based on South Park. So when Paramount Plus came along and they decided, you know something? Yes, we like the money, but we'd also like to do some of our own South Park content and not offer it to Warner Brothers for their streaming service because then we can get subscribers to Paramount Plus. Well, yes, that's true, but it is kind of a major contract violation. It's definitely not in the spirit of what the deal was. And I mean, $500 million for a couple of years for licensing the library, that is a pretty substantial payment. Paramount Plus is trying to work around the contract, and they've also countersued Warner Brothers for $52 million. Who knows how this is ultimately going to turn out? Paramount probably shouldn't have licensed the library to Warner Brothers in the first place. At the time, the money must have looked good, but now they're losing a couple of $1 billion a year trying to launch their streaming service, Paramount Plus. Paramount could have made the investment in their own library and not licensed out the material in the first place and not gotten tied up in this lawsuit. I really have to blame Paramount on this one because just calling an episode a special or an event like this one doesn't really seem like it should be excluded from the South Park library. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.